What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a 2010 mixtape by Ludacris. Basically, this product is called Atlanta Ambassador, and it came out in the winter of 2010. So the thing about this particular product here is just the fact that Ludacris had a series of products that came out in 2010, particularly within the first 3 months of 2010. Ludacris had at least three, one of which was this product, Atlanta Ambassador, from February 2010. But in late January 2010, Ludacris dropped Conjure, the mixtape, which was based upon his liquor that was coming out as far as that particular brand kind of happened. That came out a little bit before that. That one seems as more like the official mixtape, but this one I want to say is relatively official as well. It's not as commonly talked about by Ludacris within the typical type fairs nowadays, but it is within a relative type pitch that it is one to kind of say as far as those fairs going to happen, that it feels like it has the official type appeal. Then obviously in early March of 2010, then the Battle of the Sexes album came out. So some good type pitches, just a lot of festering amounts of Ludacris within those aspects, just within a ton, some quality type stuff here to be able to have within the pitches. There might actually be some more. I'm not as full bound sure. I question like the concept of it. This is a pretty solid mixtape within the pitch behind it. The unfortunate thing is, it's just like with Conjure that I reviewed back in 2023, that this particular product does not have an anchored amount of exclusives. This project has more exclusives than Conjure does, but the thing about it here is just the fact that it doesn't have as many mixtape ready songs like Lil Wayne, like the Dedication type verses. Just within the pitch, you get at least 7 songs out of 23 songs in this mixtape. There's at least 7 songs that have some relative kind of exclusive back to them as far as being ones that Ludacris held on to. But the thing about it is, I don't think he saved these particular songs from, I don't think that these songs are leftovers from Battle of the Sexes as much as I feel like this particular album kind of has like a conduit type process here where it just feels like you're getting some extras and kind of cutouts and just like director's cuts of songs from like Theater of the Mind from late 2008, which is pretty much the concept. Battle of the Sexes came out right on the heels of Theater of the Mind from 2008. It was only like a 13-14 month difference within some of those particular type fairs. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying that it's basically within the pitch as far as saying that Theater of the Mind was still relatively fresh as far as those aspects kind of happen. So it's just the tone of just having like this good explosiveness of just getting some consistent Ludacris type products that just has some further flair. This is another nice one. Now the unfortunate thing is, I don't know how many more Ludacris products are after this one. This might be one of the last ones to get to as far as those fairs going to happen. I know at least that Ludacris dropped the 2 Ludaverses projects in 2015 that were kind of like a buffer to like the project of Ludaversal in the most recent album that he dropped in the winter or the spring in 2015 as far as this fair is going to happen. But I just look after this within the appeal behind as far as the aspects going to go. I just would have to say within the tone that this, like I said, it's a solid enough mixtape to be able to get here. I look within the tone behind it. This is a solid enough particular mixtape to kind of get here, but this is kind of the concept that Ludacris is a little bit tight-lidded over the concept of some exclusives as far as like the concept of something. Because I think the prospect behind it was just the fact that he didn't want to spoil the surprise of what, Battle of the Sexes. This particular fair disc has some good stuff on here, but it is kind of an afterthought in terms of the context as far as saying, this is good, but obviously the concept did not to steal the thunder of like Battle of the Sexes from the next month as far as this pitch can go. But it does have some good stuff. Basically, once again, if you didn't fuck with like Ludacris's 2009 mixtape, which many folks, Wikipedia does not commonly list that mixtape, and not many places kind of do within those pitches, but Ludacris did drop a project in 2009 called Disturbing the Trap. It's in the Ludacris playlist on my channel as far as this pitch can go. It had some good stuff on there, like a Nate Dogg song and pitches like that, but there are some repeat songs just within the pitch. That's why this project is not getting a higher score. It's just because the concept as far as saying that there are some good songs in here within some of those type pitches, but some of which are on Battle of the Sexes, some of which are on some of the features he did in 2010, and some of which are just on other mixtapes like Disturbing the Trap and pitches like that. And there's even some songs from like Theater of the Mind as far as those pitches can go. So it's just the concept, good amalgamation, just it's just a good amalgamation of the sort of shit that Ludacris was up to circa late 2008 to early 2010 as far as those fairs going to happen. You get a good conduct, just some extra type junts to kind of get within those particular type tones. So it's just within the pitch that, almost it's just unfortunate that Ludacris did not back this project. It's not to say like complaining full blown about it, but just the pitch as far as saying that there could have been like a buzz single, something that like Waka Flocka would do with like Oh Let's Do It or Love the Gun Sound, some of those type pitches that Ludacris probably could have just put out like a minor kind of buzz single, something to anchor one of these. But it's not like it's a heavy just because Ludacris was at the point of just being on his 7th album as far as this first gonna happen. But it's kind of like Rick Ross did that with Stay Schemin' with Rich Forever's this kind of pitch. It's more of just like a kind of sideline complaint more so than the full blown concept, but more heckling, I'd have to say. But I just look after it. So just the concept about this mixtape here, like I was saying, there's 23 songs on this particular mixtape, and out of those 23, I wound up recommending 19. So the only 4 songs I don't recommend on this product in any fashion would just be the How Low remix, Start Button, which is also on like a deluxe edition, which is kind of tricky to find nowadays at Theater of the Mind, which is called Press the Start Button, but that's on this project if you aren't able to find the deluxe of that album. Grizzly, which was a song that I want to say was also on the Disturbing the Trap mixtape from 2009, and then there's a mixtape type song which seems like, I think it was to an Ace Hood beat or something like that, called OG's Theme. So just talk about those real quick. Basically, How Low remix was just too lengthy. I think it's good to get folks like Rick Ross and Twist on there, and there's some other Chicas and Pitbulls on there, some of those type folks that had to say, but this was too long, too lengthy at 7 minutes, over 7 minutes. Probably just needed to shorten a few folks on there. Start Button, just didn't really like the composition of this one. This was trying to be like a video game oriented type song, but just didn't overall pull off the appeal as far as those pitches kind of went. Just kind of felt not necessarily. It just I don't know. It just didn't have like the gloss of a particular aspect. You know, when Ludacris can nail a song, you know, more aspect for some turn up, like when you think of Act a Fool or Move Bitch, some of those type ones that just have a little bit more turn up within a sense. I feel like Start Button just didn't have the same glamour. Just kind of felt this like more just gummy as far as this pitch can happen. Grizzly, I didn't really like the rock rap type feel that particular one. I was trying to be like a more bravado type one for just more 300 type, just beat your chest type aspect as far as really growling and having hear me roar type aspects, but just didn't pull off the tone as far as those pitches kind of went. And then OG's Theme was just kind of one that just was not nailed as well. I feel like this one is a particular West Coast type production that just didn't have the same aspect. I mean, I don't know if Ace Hood could have pulled out that song better, but I think the song that nailed that particular vibe better was just Pussy Monsters as far as this pitch going to go. So that's just kind of the tone. But yeah, to basically say normally a mixtape that gets 19 out of 23, if it actually was 19 songs that were not repeat songs, 19 songs out of 23 would probably be a 10 out of 10. But it's just within the pitch, saying out of the remaining 19 songs, eight of those. Now the remaining 19 songs, 8 of those are to be found in other projects, and those songs would be How Low, All I Do Is Win, My Chick Bad, Everybody Drunk, ATL from Shawty Lowe's 2009 mixtape, Addicted to Money, Good Relationships, the Nate Dogg song, and Snoop Dogg song that was also on Disturbing the Trap, and then Drinking and Driving, which was a Jeezy song that was, maybe that one wasn't on Disturbing the Trap. I think it was on the Blockbuster mixtape from late 2008. That's another mixtape I reviewed recently within some of that type fare. So Ludacris just had some stuff that he was kind of getting a lot of features around the 2008, 2009, 2010 era, just within some of those type pitches. A lot of these just kind of slip between the cracks. So some good type fare to scoop up some of these particular type products and fuck with the Ludacris playlist where I reviewed a lot of these. So you see some of the stuff that Ludacris did that just doesn't. So you see some of the stuff that Ludacris did that just doesn't have as much commonplace appeal, I'd say. And then out of the remaining out of the remaining 11 songs out this product, there's 4 songs that are mixtape bound. They're more in like the Lil Wayne type format. And out of those 4 songs that are like that, I Wanna Rock, Turned Up, Oh Let's Do It, and Wasted, 3 of those are also on Conjure. So that's just kind of within the pitch. So all the way Turned Up, Oh Let's Do It, and Wasted are also on the Conjure mixtape that has more official outing type flair within the pitch. Now I think this is an official mixtape as well, but it's just in the pitch that you can find those 3 songs on Conjure. So it just kind of slags a little bit of the appeal behind it. But at least I Wanna Rock, which was a hit Snoop Dogg song from his 2009 hit album Malice in Wonderland, is on here. Ludacris does a pretty good job with that. So basically, out of 23 songs in here, 8 of them are new songs that I recommend within some fashion to be able to say that these are worth the appeal to downloading this tape. Now, it's not to say it's not like this mixtape costs anything within those pitches, but 8 out of 23 is a little bit lower. But to really kind of say in here, basically say out of 23 songs, slashing like the 8 songs that are on other projects plus the 3 mixtape songs that are on basically slash the 8 songs that are on other projects plus the 3 mixtape songs that are on other projects. So basically 11 songs to be slashed out of 23 would narrow it down to 12 songs that are new no matter what. And just to say out of those 12 songs, I wound up recommending 8. So that's kind of the fashion. So I'm going to give this mixtape, basically with all that here and there, with all the repeat songs and just the relative aspect of plus the songs that I don't recommend within some of those type pitches, I just would have to say I'm going to give this mixtape like an 8.25 out of 10. I feel like 8 out of 12 is approximately within that candor. That's about 2/3 of the project in terms of like the newness factor just within the pitch. But I just would have to say on top of that, just being able to say that some of these aspects, really just saying that there's really only truly 4 songs I don't recommend in any fashion. It's just that there's a lot of repeat songs. That's just kind of the concept. But just being able to say, so once again, out of the 12 new songs that are actually new songs that are exclusive to this project, I would have to say, or yeah, out of the 12 new songs that are at least relatively exclusive to this project, I wound up recommending 8. So that's just the pitch. So 8.25 out of 10. So the 7 songs talk about these on here. Not going to talk about I Wanna Rock, so that's just an instrumental. That's just a freestyle of that one, but Ludacris does do a good job in there. Definitely worth checking out that particular song. Nice slinky type beat. But some of these ones on here, like Cross My Mind, is a nice one. This has Damian Marley, which is this song. Cross My Mind has Damian Marley on there, which is a surprising feature. Wasn't expecting Ludacris and Damian Marley to kind of team up. And it also has Kevin Cossum, who was a pretty big R&B singer on the late 2000s, early 2010s. So Cross My Mind, it's like a floaty kind of typical gloss. I'd have to say just early 2010s flavored pop rap. I'd have to say in particular, definitely reminds me of like Young Money type bop. Some of those type fairs, Tyga, Nicki Minaj, some of those type folks that kind of had those songs like Bedrock and like Every Girl, some of those type pitches, just some of those type ones, just within the pitch behind it. I forget the name of that producer, but some of those type ones, like, feels like one of those productions that would have been by Kane Beats or T Street, some of those type folks in particular, as far as those first gonna happen. This typical kind of early, just feels ripped right out of early 2010, some of those type fairs within the pitch. Real nice one. Just kind of mall hopping, mall rap type music, just within the fair behind some of that type pitch. Good concept. Just feels like something when you hear Justin Bieber, folks, that just remind you of 2010, some of those type fairs. It's just Ludacris, just Ludacris within like another prime era of like the early 2010s. So some good type fair for that. Just a real nice brushy hit to kind of get here, I'd have to say. Just a good concept for like some winter type commerce within the pitch behind it. Hear My Cry is a nice one as well. Now both Cross My Mind and Hear My Cry are exclusive to this particular project. There are some ones, when I was saying earlier that there's not a ton of exclusive, there are some ones that are not to be found anywhere else. I kind of feel like Cross My Mind might have been a song that Ludacris did around the Battle of the Sexes era, but just didn't fit like the template of Battle of the Sexes. It is kind of a ladies song, but this is within the pitch. It just doesn't have like the format of kind of more feisty kind of spiciness as far as those pitch can have. So it's just a good twang. It's just a good aspect to kind of it's just a good jelly type one to kind of get within some of that type of appeal. I'd say within those tones. And then Hear My Cries and are good. And Hear My Cry is a good aspect of one as well. I'd say this has Jasmine Sullivan on there, which is another good team up. But I'd say it's like an oozing kind of R&B commerce to kind of get here. Just typical day slag. I'd say about this one, just a little bit more workaday type fare. Just something that feels like something brooding that like Marsha Ambrosius, some of those type folks, Jamie Foxx would kind of do around the late 2000s. Some of that type pitch, just a little bit more elegant. I'd have to say, it just reminds me of like graceful kind of theater of the mind moments. I'd suppose this is more Ludacris on some of those leftover type moments from his 2008 album. Just pitches like that, just kind of within the aspect of this more kind of civil type moments, just within the tone behind it. Moments like you would think like Contagious and some of those type moments from theater of the mind. I'm trying to think of some other ones off that particular album, but just pitches like that, I'd have to say. This feels like Jamie Foxx or Fabulous would be on a song like this. Some of those type fairs just within the pitch behind it. Neo, definitely, I'd have to suppose about that one. So just some good civil type R&B within a hip hop type sense, more rap oriented. Just another brushy type one. Coochie is a nice one. Now, this is a good quality type one to kind of get here. This has Old Dirty Bastard on here, which is an interesting type pitch because that's actually one pair up that I think I don't recall happening too often. There is at least another Ludacris and Old Dirty Bastard song that's on Ludacris's 2006 mixtape, which I think probably happened around somewhere around the mid early 2000s, which was on his 2006 mixtape, which I forget what that one's called. Pre-release therapy, as far as those pitches can happen. Now that song was worse. The pre-release therapy, Old Dirty Bastard and Ludacris collaboration was not as good as this particular one. Coochie really nails it within a particular vibe. Apparently this is by a song by a cat named Blackrock, as far as those first gonna happen. I really question like the overall collaborative appeal of Ludacris and Old Dirty Bastard, because that's just not someone that Ludacris commonly talks about. Ludacris was actually around when Old Dirty Bastard was live. Old Dirty almost made it to 2005 as far as those pitches kind of went, but just within the tone, it's me question. I mean, most folks nowadays kind of hold on to like their particular Old Dirty Bastard collabos. He's one person that you just don't hear come about too oftenly when folks say that they did a song with him. Like Vanilla Ice has a song with Old Dirty Bastard that he basically says is never going to come out within some of those type pitches. I want to say there's probably some other folks, but particularly him is just one that those particular songs just don't leak out too oftenly, which is kind of a disappointment, but I'm glad that this particular song did. Coochie's like a twangy kind of outback and country bar hopping, kind of hard liquor outings kind of get within some of those type senses. I'd have to say here, just some day drifting definitely definitely. It's just kind of a woozy but litty kind of fun to kind of have within those aspects. So it just reminds me of something. It feels like a song that Jason Aldean would be on. Some of those country artists just within the pitch behind it. Just kind of a country rap type song within the pitch. Some of that type fare, just a good outback type song kind of get. It's definitely like some motorcycle bar and pitches like that. Just kind of the concept of like a karaoke bar. Some of those type pitches. It is something that feels like you'd have some smoky barbecue, some pitches like that just within the tone. Just a real nice appeal for how they nailed that particular song. And Old Dirty Bastard fits this song pretty well. Just within the pitch. I have no clue as to when this song was particularly made. Just within the aspect, it's kind of a mysterious song, but just the aspect of it surfacing way out in 2010 is a good type of appeal, so it works. Pot and a Dem is a pretty nice one. Now, I want to say that this was a little scrappy song, which I don't know what particularly where that surfaced from. Some of these, once again, are just 2009 leftovers from Ludacris, considering that there was only a month and a half about into 2010 as far as this pitch can happen when this dropped. But Pot and a Dem's like an in-between kind of moments, mall hopping to kind of get here, just shop a bit, I'd have to say, with homies, some of that type fare, just some day commerce, good concept to buy some things with pals, pitches like that, smoke a bit, just some social kind of smoking, some social kind of smoke outings, pitches like that, just spending the day with pals for those particular fairs going to have in shop till you drop some of those type pitches, just with an aspect just out and about, just in like, not obviously not in a prissy sense, but just kind of concept just a little bit more, the aspect of just socialized type fair, just fraternize type one, good type of appeal. Ludacris and Lil Scrappy do a good job with this one. Better Believe is a quality one, and this is another one that reminds me definitely of Theater of the Mind. It's like a woozy kind of jury in between kind of hotel commerce to kind of get here. Just kind of a concept of something that like Rick Ross is kind of doing with Deeper Than Rap, some of those type pitches. Ludacris kind of had that graceful type appeal as well. It's like a suaver kind of enriched Theater of the Mind flavor about this particular song as far as those fairs going to go. Real short type one. Not really sure who the singers on this particular one might have been. Like, I don't know if it was Monica, or I don't know if it was like, there's some other chick, like, I forget her name, but like, I don't know if it was Jennifer Hudson, one of those type chicas as far as those pitches can happen, but some particular starlet as far as that particular fair kind of goes, it's not really as full blown sure, but that's just the pitch behind it. It's real nice, kind of emphatic type one, just in the pitch of like some good plush type appeal behind it, real nice, graceful type one. Pussy Monsters is a quality one. This has the game on there, and I want to say this might have been on a game mixtape, but then I don't really remember the game dropping mixtapes in 2009. He might have, but I'm not as full-bound sure. But this is just kind of the pitch as far as saying that this is like a jazzy kind of mixtape hop, kind of a Cali fried kind of cruise around, kind of get within those pitches, talking about Pussy Monsters once again. This is good Cali fried kind of cruise around, like I was saying. Just reminds me definitely of like the Break Lights tape from 2010. Some of those type fairs by the game. This is just good for like a glitzy night. So this one has some of the more social aspect. Most of these are just kind of more kind of primers and just kind of preview snippets, appetizers for like the concept of what Ludacris was kind of working on with like Battle of the Sexes as far as those fairs going to have. Most of these are more ladies oriented within the pitch behind it, minus Pot and Adem as far as those fairs going to go. But at least Pussy Monsters, at least within the aspect, has a little bit more a night on the town pitches like that, where it kind of has some homies type fair just in the aspect of some smoke outs and just getting ready to get crunk within an aspect of possibly heading to like a nightclub, dance club, some of those type of appeals behind it. So it's just a real glitzy type one within the aspect, good appeal for that. And then Don't Trust Her's a nice one as well. It's like good Gucci Mane song in here to kind of get this one. Not really sure where this particular song surfaced. I don't know if this is an original song. I feel like this is more a Gucci Mane song more so than a Ludacris song. It might just have been. My thing about Gucci Mane is just like the game and Ludacris in some senses, Wikipedia does not as commonly list a lot of these particular mixtapes as far as all the ones that they particularly did around those times, like the late 2000s, early 2010s. So I want to say there was one that Gucci Mane dropped called like Gucci Glacier or something like that he dropped in like the first half of 2009. I want to say that this particular song might have been off that project, but it's just kind of the concept. It's a relatively secret song. I'm going to talk about it because I don't think I've talked about it before. But just within the pitch, I might talk about this song again when I review Gucci Mane. I am going to get to that 2009 Gucci Glacier project, some of those type ones, but it's like a vintage kind of chopped and screwed kind of outing tour to kind of get just some social smoke. There's definitely some social smokage with motion in mind. It has to say about this one, a good song for Belle as far as those fairs going to happen. You know, Don't Trust Her just feels like a bleary and kind of winter overcast type day within some of those type pitches. Just kind of a stuff to do type day within a pitch. It's a little bit more just kind of commotive as far as those pitches can happen, but just the aspect of having ladies as mind as far as those fairs can happen. Just almost makeshift. It's actually a surprising makeshift song in mind for like a Gucci Mane song as far as those pitches can happen. It's a little bit more straightforward, like within a relative workaday type sense, but it does have recreation aside as far as having bellas in mind as far as those pitches can happen. Just good type tone for that. But it does have recreation in mind as far as having bellas aside as far as those pitches can happen. So some good type aspects for that as far as those fairs can happen. So once again, this mixtape gets an 8.25 out of 10 as far as those fairs going to happen. The social score, I would probably say the social score is a little bit trickier. I'd probably say about the social score is probably going to get like probably about an 8.5 out of 10. I'll raise the social score a little bit just because the aspect that a lot of these are pretty good. If you don't know it, like I know a lot of these songs just because the pitch that I know every Ludacris project damn near as far as this pitch gonna go. But some of these type ones, like Start Button, is not a super horrible type song, and this is a little bit kind of almost gummy within the sense, not as vicious as it could be. There's some ones like Drinking and Driving, Good Relationships, Addicted to Money that are kind of more secretive Ludacris type songs. They're not as commonly known, so maybe some folks might not know about those enough to be able to say. Good Relationships does have one of the more recent Nate Dogg verses on there, considering the fact that he passed in early 2011 and wasn't doing much past like 2006, 2007. So it's a good type one. Ludacris was able to snag a Nate Dogg verse, some of those type pitches. Drink and Drive is a real nice one. ATL's a real nice one. Addicted to Money, some of those type fares. Some of these mixtape freestyles, if you didn't download Conjures to some good type pitches, gonna get some of those. I Want to Rock's a nice secret treat. And a lot of these songs that are like the new ones I just talked about are some not excellent type ones. It's kind of, once again, previews and just leftover moments of theater of the mind, like a graceful type sense. It's the aspect of likes and good, kind of feuds, the aspect of likes and good, kind of commerce and just mall hopping, shopping, and just overall day drifting type concepts within a makeshift type sense, just with Bella's in mind as far as what's first going to happen. Then like a little bit of Friday step out within a minor sense with like the game and pussy monsters, and a little bit of shopping with your homies in terms of pot and M's. It's just kind of the pitch, but as far as what's first going to happen, it's a little bit higher score social. This was an aspect, probably needed an exclusive or two, a few more exclusive, probably needed like an extra exclusive or two as far as those pitch going to happen, maybe like a buzz single, something like that. But other than that, this project particularly nails it pretty high as far as those extremes going to go just from the pitch. I'd say in terms of the future, like once again, Ludacris has talked about the fact that he's going to put out some more products, but this doesn't seem as likely nowadays. It'd be nice to get like an EP or a mixtape, some of those type fairs, but I'm not as full bound sure if there really is any Ludacris products left as far as those fairs going to happen. I am going to review the Luda verses, Volume 1, Volume 2, but apart from those might be it, unless there's just more unofficial or relatively, I don't know if there's more, like, this is a relatively official type product, kind of similar to Disturbing the Trap and Blockbuster, some of those type ones, but I'm just not as full bound. Like, nowadays, trying to find these mixtapes is just getting lesser known, so I just don't know as full bound if there's any more left, especially where they would originate from and some of those type pitches. But I want to say this is a mostly excellent type project here. If there are more, I'll get to them, but if not, just realize that the Ludacris playlist is basically complete. So this is from the fairs behind it. So I definitely would recommend this, find this particular product and fuck with some of these.